All right, we are going to take a look at Captivate podcast hosting, and we're going to basically do a walkthrough and review here of their platform. And you can see I'm already logged in to my account. I actually been paying for it for a while for some older podcasts that I have, and I test things out. So we are just logged into one of my shows, but we're going to start here and go to, you can see there's multiple shows. This one is really old and it's not active anymore, but we can go take a look at it, and you can see some overall stats, some of the recent episodes that are quite old, and we can hop back into this one. So this is an easy way to switch between shows. And with Captivate, you pay one price for unlimited podcasts or unlimited shows, and you just pay by downloads. And so they have different tiers, and the first tier goes up to 12,000 downloads in a month. So most people probably won't even hit that. So you usually don't have to worry about the higher tiers of pricing unless you have a popular show or two. Now, we are going to dive in here to a few different things because there's quite a bit to take a look at. So let's start with here the episodes. You can see I have published episodes, and we can just take a look at this Captivate review episode here, and you can see everything: episode title, subtitle, the show notes. You can add in links and do all kinds of different formatting and stuff, and this will all apply to your website as well. And then there's some other options here. You can say, would you like to show a summary? And you can add some info here. There's different publish dates. So if I wanted, I could change this date to be today. I'm not gonna change it for the purpose of this, but you can see it's really easy to do here. And there's a publish time, which you can also set as a default so that your episodes are always published at the same time. And then there's some other stuff you can do. Exclude it if you don't want it to be public or accessible there. And then you can do an expiration date, so it'll be unpublished at a certain time, which could be useful for if you have maybe a bonus episode, or you're doing some sort of promo or something that's only available for a limited time. That's a really cool option that they've made available that I don't see in other podcast hosting platforms. And we're going to go down here, some other features, episode type. So the default is just a normal episode, but you can do trailer or bonus. There's, do season or episodes, kind of all your standard stuff here. And then some stuff for your website SEO kind of features here. I don't need to change anything, but you can also replace the audio. Maybe if you did some updates or something, you can just drag a file here, or there's a library where you can choose something. I don't have anything that's not already attached to an episode, so it won't show up, but we'll show you a little bit more about that in a little bit. So we are going to go back. You can see the episode's status is published. Let's go through the analytics, and you get some kind of quick overview here, unique listeners, and all these nice little kind of info tips that you can hover over and see, different information about that box, which is nice. Another cool thing here as you go down is daily trends. So I'm going to go to all time. And what's cool is you can see when your episodes were released, and they kind of highlight them with the dotted line and the little name of your episode here. So that gives you a nice kind of easy visual of when they're released and kind of how it affected downloads overall. And as you go down, you can see, different devices and apps and operating systems, all that stuff, if you really want to dive in. And then, of course, the map with the different country downloads as well. So cool stuff here. And this can be useful if you want, to see, do promotions to certain countries, or if you're working with advertisers, things like that. And it's just kind of fun to see all the different places that people are listening to. So, and then downloads by episode. As we keep going down, there's more detailed info. You can see some of that stuff here for different date ranges. You can quickly update that and take a look. So Let's go all the way back up here. And now we have collections. And so these let you, I'll read it. Collections are a curated playlist you can use to collect related episodes for your audience. So I'm going to create a new collection, and let's call it reviews. And we're going to say podcast hosting, reviews, and we'll just leave that URL here, but that people can subscribe to just these kind of subsets. And let's say that I just want maybe these two to be in my reviews collection. And it's easy as that. Now we have a special kind of group of episodes that you have an RSS feed available for. You can share a special player. So if you have a website, which you should have for a podcast, I think that is one of the best ways to grow your podcast. But anyway, you can share a special embed player with just those episodes. So maybe you have a subcategory of just your interviews or just your marketing-based episodes or something like that. Then you could embed those just on a category page or something. And of course, you can come in here and edit this and kind of configure it as needed. So really cool there. Let's move on. This is a new feature too. They added this, I don't know, in the last month or two. So you definitely tell they're kind of innovating and constantly adding new features to the Captivate hosting platform. Now let's go to distribution. This is how you get your podcast out to the popular directories so people can subscribe and listen. And you can see that I already, for this show, I already am on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and I'm actually on some of these other places too. They just don't show the kind of green published thing here. So I'll just click one of these and kind of see it pops up their website so that you can submit your show, but there's not a section where you kind of put in your URL so that their platform knows that you've submitted, which I think could be a nice improvement. You know, you can go in here and paste in your Radio Public podcast URL, and then it'll change to green. I think something along that lines of that workflow would be nice. These are sort of automatic, so they've kind of detected that it's happened. But I'm on these other platforms already, so it'd be nice if I had a visual indication that happened and that kind of things were connected a little better. I don't know kind of the exact technology that needs to happen behind that, but it's simple, just a box where you paste in your podcast here and say save or something, and then it would tie into maybe your subscribe buttons or something on the player. I think would be a nice improvement. So just a little feedback there. There's some other stuff. Podchaser, as you can see, is the IMDb for podcasts. They have a nice integration with them so that your info gets pushed to their platform. So that's really cool to see. There's a show playlist player, so your entire podcast will be displayed. And then there is a latest episode player, which is really cool. So if you just want to show your latest episode in a spot on your website, you have that option. And then you can also embed single episodes as well. So if you go to share here under your episodes, you can embed just this right here onto your website, but you also have some other sharing options there. But back to distributions, and you can also see that they give you a little more info about where you'll show up when you get into Apple Podcasts. So they're trying to help you kind of explain what happens and how the whole podcast ecosystem works, because it is definitely confusing, and a lot of these apps are based on Apple Podcasts, but then these other apps are based on you submitting manually, and it's kind of a confusing system when you're not initially familiar with it. Now let's take a look at the player that I've been mentioning quite a bit here. So here is the single episode player, or maybe this is your latest episode player, and you can see there's different options. I can mess with the background color, and you can see it automatically updates right away. And you can choose custom colors, whatever you want to do. So I'm gonna switch this back to white, how it was. But you can see there's also options for player branding. So what that is this little Captivate icon or logo here. You can turn it off, subtle, or you can have the full name. So you get some options there, which is really nice to see. Some podcast hosting companies force their name, right on your player, and maybe you don't want that. I can easily turn that off, and there's no issues. You don't have to pay extra for it, and it's really nice that they just give you that flexibility. I like the subtle thing. Give them a tiny little plug, but maybe not the full, kind of distracting name. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. You can allow sharing on and off. So as you see, the share button here goes in and out as you turn that, and then you can allow downloads, and that would be under share as well. So there's all kinds of different stuff. Show notes you can turn on and off, and it just really lets you customize the player as much or as little as you want. Up to you. You can just use all the defaults. It's fine. And there's calls to action, which is a kind of a unique feature. You can see that's links here, and donations, which is tied into your podcast settings, and cover art. So if you maybe already have your cover art on your web page or something, and you just want to make it a little cleaner, you can do something like that. So really cool options. I'm just going to leave it how it is. And this actually has been updated as well. So they used to just have, maybe these top 4, 5, 6 options, but now there's 8. So they really keep, like I said, they keep innovating and making updates based on feedback or based on their own kind of understanding of the podcaster's needs. Now let's go to a website, and there are options here. So there's a built-in website that they provide called Captivate Sites, and you can see it's on right now, but you can easily turn it off, and you can use a custom domain name. So if you want to do that, they give you a little information about how to set that up with your DNS provider and your domain name here. I'm going to turn that back off because I have my own website for this show, so it doesn't really need kind of to be tied into their website. I just use the players and embed them just like I would a YouTube video on my own WordPress website. But you can see that you can customize colors and fonts and stuff. So I'm going to copy this. So let's open a new tab, and we have our website. I have it set up pretty basic. There are options to have a big image up top and a lot more stuff here, but I just wanted to show you kind of the player. You can see the share options here along with the download option that I just mentioned. And then the show notes, you can see I have just some links in there. We saw that when I was editing one of the episodes. And subscribe links. So these are ones like I showed you, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I had that green kind of confirmation that I was already there. Google didn't have that confirmation, but I'm also there. So just kind of another example of how I think some of that could just be clarified a little bit. But then also we have Overcast and Pocket Casts, which I believe are pulled from Apple, and that was sort of explained on the directory distribution page. And let's click links. This is a custom link you can input in your show settings, and then the donate button, which just goes to the homepage of that website. But anyway, and of course this logo, and we can look at the individual show notes for this page, and you can see they populate the subscribe button. So this is kind of your built-in website, and it's effective. It works, but you may want something a little more powerful, and that's where I recommend creating a WordPress website for yourself. And they have a plugin which you can turn on here, and it syncs everything. So your WordPress website and the Captivate hosting platform kind of talk together basically, and you can upload episodes to your WordPress dashboard or to your your Captivate dashboard, and they kind of talk to each other, and everything kind of just works together. We're not going to dive deep into that, but just know that that is an excellent option, and it just makes working with WordPress easy, and it just gives you options as far as your workflow. They really let you kind of use and customize it to your needs. And we'll talk a little bit more about how they do that, because there's some other features that really highlight that too. But like I mentioned, you can customize the website a lot more. So you can see there's logo. We can upload a logo, different titles, a fixed heading. So when you scroll down, it stays there as like a sticky header. And you can update your team, so you can have different people. And we'll get to that in a minute. But on the website, you can highlight different people if you have co-hosts, or maybe you want to show your publisher or something. Plenty of options there. And then, of course, your title of your website. But then there's also the ability to add Google Analytics, so you can see how many people are visiting your podcast website. Easy integration here. Facebook pixel tracking, so you can market to people maybe who've already visited your site, or just use it as a analytics feature as well, because Facebook also has an analytics product. But you can see there's lots of options here, which is really nice for your website. And then there's Captivate branding. Again, you can adjust this, so maybe you don't want to show it. I'm just going to leave it as is, because this website doesn't really get found. But that is the options as of July 2020. And of course, this may and will likely be updated and changed, but that is everything as of now. Now let's go to marketing. And so like I showed you, when you click on the embed player or on your website, these links kind of get pulled in. And so you paste these in from the providers after you get accepted, and then they'll show up. You can see there's a cool little single subscription link. So this is your basic, simple kind of subscribe link that you can share with people. And it, instead of giving them your full website, you get this just simple page that you can send people to. It's great for, I don't know, places like social media. Send them here, and then they can easily get over to their preferred platforms. And there's not, nothing really distracting here. The only options are to click into these platforms and hopefully subscribe or listen to your show. Now we have social links, and these all kind of get added to your website too, or your player. You can obviously add all these, and then there's an affiliate link too. So if you want to help promote Captivate and get paid in the process, that is an option too. Now we have calls to action, and that's where you saw the links button on the embed player. I just put a link to the homepage, but you can customize these, and there's 2 of them available. So pretty simple here, but it allows you to kind of direct people to different places that you want to go. Maybe it's to build an email list, or send them to your YouTube channel or something, by merch, whatever you want to do. You can just say, check out the links button. And then there's a sponsor kit. So this is a PDF. You enter some details here. I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. And let's try again. And this will create a PDF based on your latest episodes, your audience, download numbers. And this is an easy way to just generate a great looking PDF that you can send to potential sponsors. So we're going to click create my sponsor kit, and we'll pull this up in a second. All right, so here is our sponsor kit. You can see it, they pull in, they kind of format everything for you, your social media info, your cover art, your latest episodes, your average downloads over different time periods. So this is all info that a potential sponsor would want to know. You can see the IAB certified, which means their stats are compliant kind of to the industry standard, and kind of lets the advertiser know that they're getting the real info. Now let's let's switch back here. All right, let's move on to the library. So if you want to, I talked a little bit about how Captivate podcast hosting lets you customize your workflow to kind of whatever works best for you. So you can go to episodes and or you go up here to the top right, publish episode, and you can upload an episode one at a time, kind of in a standard format. Or you could batch upload, for example. So maybe you recorded 5 episodes in one day, and whether you're with a team or not, you can kind of customize this, but maybe you have 5 episodes that you want to upload. So you upload 5 here, and then you or someone else could go in to publish an episode, and then you would choose from your library. And so instead of uploading each time, or maybe someone has bad internet, who knows what the situation might be, you choose one of these. Doesn't really work right now because I don't have a blank one. But anyway, you do that. It's already attached, and then you just fill out this info. And so you could batch upload all your audio files, but maybe someone else goes in and does the show notes or something, or maybe you could go do it all at once. But then you can easily just kind of attach them. Choose all your info here and set a date and click save. Simple as that. So that just kind of gives you some flexibility, and that's what the media library is for. It lets you kind of access your audio files in a separate dashboard, and you can see we already attached the review here. So you click edit, and this pulls into where it's attached to, which is this episode that we looked at before, and then you kind of get the same info as we looked at. Now let's go to team, and you can see I am the owner, and I have added an editor just kind of as an example, and you can view and manage access here. So there are a bunch of different levels, so we can remove them obviously, but there's producer, show manager, host, and brand partner. And each of these has different access levels. So, a brand partner isn't going to get access to like delete your episodes or something. They might just get access to stats. And you can see they give you a little warning here, no biography. So nice little tips. And under this team section, you see that each show can have, each person can get different roles for each show. So you can kind of customize it depending on, if you want one person access to all your shows, or if you want someone else to only have access to one of your shows, you can really customize that as needed. Now we are going, if you pull up their help section, you can actually find, they have it's called a table of, let's do team. I think that should pull it up, and podcast team roles explained. And you can see brand partner gets access to share episodes and view analytics. So that makes sense. And you can see all the different access levels here. So a producer and editor get access to your media library, publish and manage episodes. And maybe, you want to kind of include those two together. You might want to make them a show manager, but not a host, or a host but not a show manager. You can see they give you lots of options there. But I just wanted to show you that they kind of explain that simply on that page, and the help section is great. You can also click on this little help button and send a message. I'm on a weekend, so I doubt they're pretty quick though, 2 hours. But you can also just search for articles, and they have a great team. I have talked with 3, 4, 5 of them, and they're all awesome. Mark Asquith is the founder of this guy right here. He has been in the podcasting space for a really long time. He actually has podcast websites, which is sort of another hosting and WordPress platform, and he's done a lot of stuff, spoken at all kinds of different events and stuff, and really understands the needs of podcasters. So it's cool to see that how quickly he's grown Captivate, and just kind of how many how many new features they've added and how they've really innovated in the space. So kind of cool to see. And I think that really rounds out the Captivate review, but let's go to show settings. I don't know if we looked at this. You can see the categories. This is all pretty standard stuff for the for a podcast hosting platform, but I just wanted to make sure we see everything. Here is one thing that is a little unique is you can do a new episode first or old episode first, so that you don't see with every platform. And third-party prefixes, they make that easy to add. You can choose. These are Chartable, for instance, is a third-party analytics platform that I have set up, and maybe I want to set up Podcorn, which is an advertising platform. I just paste in their prefix, and it's as easy as that. So really cool. Another nice feature is full transparency mode, which lets people know that I'm using these prefixes and that they may be tracked and that their privacy policy applies and not just my own or Captivate's. So I like that they just make that as easy as clicking a checkbox, and they kind of fill that info in your kind of the bottom of your show notes section. And you can also, which is nice, is customize your RSS feed. So if you want to change this, or you can do a latest episode feed. And so you can see this is great for smart speaker flash briefings. That's kind of the common use case for this. And so it's easy to just click a checkbox. And if you want to be on the flash briefings, you would copy this in so that only one episode is posted instead of all of them. Yeah, simple as that. I think that rounds out everything. I hope that was useful. If you want to check out Captivate, just take a look at the link in the description, and you can sign up for a trial. But I definitely think it's worth playing around with and using for your podcast.